Are you an organ transplant recipient that at some point have become kind of like I am, in that you're sometimes terrified to pick up the phone because you know on the other end of that phone is a low down, good for nothing, evil, awful debt collector? Yeah, I actually feel that way. However, today on this particular video, The Transplant Helper, I'm going to be trying to help you a little bit to better understand the entire debt collection industry, as well as give you a pattern and a plan that you can use in the end to pay off these debt collectors and get them off your back forever. Hey folks, welcome to the Transplant Helper again today. My name is Jim Merle. Now today we're going to be addressing a topic once again that we've already addressed on the program a couple of different times, and that is paying off those debt collectors. Now, to my memory at least, and to my knowledge, we've never discussed it quite from this perspective. So I did want to pause for just a moment today to help to ease your mind a bit and help you to better understand exactly what's going on the other side of that telephone when those debt collectors call. And the very first thing you need to understand is that if you've been turned over to an outside debt collector by your hospital, basically all the niceties are over, okay? Back when your hospital held the debt, when you owe the hospital, say, we'll make up a fee, $1,000, there was probably some really nice person on the other end of the line that was just casually calling you ever so often, just picking up the phone, giving you a call. Hey, Mr. Miss So-and-so, I just want to let you know that you got an outstanding bill with us. It's $1,000, and if you'd like to make payments of 8 cents a month, we'd be happy to accept that. You've probably heard something like that, but not exactly. But anyway, while they're calling you, everything is pretty much sweet and nice and lovely. But when you go outside of that standardized 30, 60, 90, even 120-day period, at some point, your doctor, your hospital, your clinic, whatever it is, they're probably going to give up on that debt in a sense. And when they do that, they're going to, quote, send you to collections. And what that means really is that they're going to take your debt, for example, for $1,000, they're basically going to hold it up in the air and wave it around, and a ton of wolf-eating, awful, terrible debt collectors are going to flock around that, and they're going to start chomping away and begging and pleading to purchase that debt for a fee. And more than likely, that $1,000 debt may sell to them for, say, $200. So they decide to pay your transplant center, your hospital, your doctor a sum of $200 to purchase that $1,000 debt. Now, in turn, they're going to take your debt and rub it between their little hands and tear off running and start getting on the phone. And they're not going to call you once or twice a month or every once in a blue moon. They're going to call you every stinking day. And when they're calling you, they're not going to be nice and sweet about your debt. They're going to be telling you that you owe your entire life's living and your children's life living. As a matter of fact, they're planning to come and get your dog if you don't pay this debt. That's at least what they're saying. Well, they can't actually do that, okay? But nonetheless, they can actually make you feel pretty bad. And most times than not, their ultimate goal is by the time you hang up that phone, you're going to be paying them at least, and let me emphasize that, at least $1,000. Now remember, this debt collector actually purchased the debt from your transplant center for $200, but now they want the whole $1,000. So what are they getting? A tremendous profit, but that's not all. As a matter of fact, when they're charging you that $1,000, they're going to then in turn say, well, Mr. So-and-so, let me make sure that you're aware that your debt no longer is $1,000. Now your debt is $1,200 because you see there's been a $200 processing and handling fee added to the debt. No, ma'am, it hasn't. No, sir. I'm not paying that. I owed $1,000 to begin with, and that is the maximum amount I'm willing to pay for this debt. But let me give you a few tricks and tips about this whole situation. Now, keeping in mind, they have purchased your debt at times for pennies on the dollar, okay? They never invested that $1,000 in your debt to get it. They invested something much smaller and far less than that original debt. So here's what your job is. When they pick up the phone and they call you day after day after day after day, and you get so mad, you start thinking about going out and picking up cans and you know, eating paper if it takes it to get enough money to pay off this $1,000 debt or now $1,200 debt and get them off your back. That's the way you feel. But don't do it. okay? Don't pay that debt collector. As a matter of fact, when they start telling you very kindly, well, Mr. Merle, what we'd like to do for you is to let you pay us $100 a month for the next 36 months, and you're going, 100 times 12, what? Yeah, they're adding some financial charges, they're adding some hidden fees, they're adding whatever they want to add to that debt. You say, no, sir, no, ma'am, I'm not paying that. Wait a minute, Jim. Are you telling me not to pay my debt? Yeah, kinda. What I'm telling you to do is you will be far better off. And I know this is hard to do. I know it's a difficult time, but you will be far better off taking $100 a month, sticking it back in your own sock drawer, burying it in a jar outside in the yard, or setting it aside in a separate bank account and save up until you have that $1,000 or $1,200 or whatever it is they say you owe. You'd be better off. And then, and only then, do you start the process. You pick up the phone and you say, hello, Mr. Debt Collector. My name is Jim Merle. I was just calling to let you know that according to my understanding and your constant phone calls and your stacks of paper over here in my office, I owe you $1,200. Is that right? And they say, yes, it is. As a matter of fact, it's $1,427.83 now. Okay? I understand that. Here's what I'm going to do. I'll pay you $500 cash right now to close the debt. And they reply, well, no, sir. We can't take $500 on this debt. And you reply, okay, thank you for your time today. I'll talk to you soon. And you hang up the phone. You say, now, wait a minute. I thought I was calling to pay off this debt. Well, you are. But you're paying it off in a discounted amount. Remember, for that $1,000 debt, they probably paid $200 or some sort of pennies on the dollar for that. And so by paying them $500, they're still making a hefty profit. And if they won't accept that, here's plan B. The phone rings again. It's Mr. Debt Collector. Hello, this is Mr. Debt Collector. Mr. Merle, you owe us $1,400.26 or whatever that number I made up was. You owe us this money and you're going to pay today. And you say, sir, I just want to remind you, I have $500 cash and I'll be more than happy to pay that to you today if that will settle the debt in full. And they say, no thanks. And you say goodbye. And that happens again and again and again and again until one day they call, Mr. Merle, we wanted to let you know you owe $1,400 and whatever the amount was I made up. And you say, I'm going to offer you one more time $500 to settle the debt in full. And they say, okay. Now, this is the part where you've got to be really, really careful and smart. It's at this point that you now tell that debt collector, I have $500 cash, cold cash to give you today. However, I need two things. Number one, make them agree, not verbally, but in writing, that $500 in the example could be another amount, but that $500 will settle the debt in full. And you do not pay them one penny, one nickel, one dime until in writing. If you want to bring it in snail mail, fine. If you'll take an email or maybe you can pick up a fax at the local library or down at the job, until they send you a paper copy in writing that you can either print off your computer or pull out of the mailbox that states you now owe them $500 and this will pay the debt in full. You're not paying them anything. But when they send you that document, that was number one. When you get in writing that $500 will settle the debt, then number two, you do not write a check. You do not give them your debit card number over the phone. You do not offer them anything right then. Now you tell them, I will either send you a cashier's check, FedEx, and you pay the fees to have that overnighted, or better yet, and this is the simplest way to do it, listen to me carefully, or you go down to the local Walmart or Target or grocery store or 7-Eleven and you purchase one of those $3 or $4 feed prepaid debit cards, and you put that $500, not $501, not $499. You put that $500 on the debit card, and you pick up the phone and you call them and you give them that number right there on the prepaid debit card, and you pay them in full, and that's the end of the deal. Why the prepaid debit card? Why the cashier's check? Because you cannot, do you hear me? You cannot, under any circumstances, give them direct access to your checking account. And when you write them a check, guess what? Even though it will be somewhat fraudulent, even though it will be somewhat illegal, when you write them a check, they know where you bank, they know the routing numbers, they know the account numbers, and they're halfway gone from the bank with your money. And even more, when you pay them over the phone with your normal everyday debit or credit card, you're done. You're a dead duck. You're sitting in the water floating upside down by now. Don't do it. Don't give them access to your account. Do not give them any of your financial information. You give them only that prepaid debit card number. And as soon as that transaction comes through as paid, you now take that debit card, you grab it, you grab a pair of scissors, and snap, you cut it in half and throw it away and do it again at the next debt collector. That's how you get rid of your debt. So what have I told you today? I hope I've, in a somewhat humorous way, let you know that a debt collector is not going to take everything you have. However, when they do start calling, it's your responsibility to pay, but be sure you do it right. Do not let them have access to your account. Do not pay a dime until they agree to send you in writing paid in full. That's the way you do it. And keep in mind, they bought this debt at pennies on the dollar. They're actually making a profit even at that discounted amount. I hope this program has helped you out in some way. If for nothing more, maybe it's giving you a little chuckle, a little laugh. I don't know, but I'm being dead serious about it. This is a big deal. I appreciate you joining me today. If this program has helped you out in any way, go ahead and give me a big thumbs up under this video. The more thumbs up I get, the happier I get. And if for some reason it hadn't helped you so much, a thumbs down will work too. I'll know that this is not the kind of content that you want to see. With that said, if you're not already subscribed to this channel, go ahead beneath this video, hit that big subscribe button, maybe even the bell notification off beside that, so you'll be notified as I'm trying to continue to put out content for you that will hopefully advocate, educate, and motivate you as a transplant patient. With that said, always check the corner of the screen up here beside me, because if you're over on the YouTube app, you're going to see several different pop-ups of other videos basically related to this that are going to help you out a tremendous amount in making your way through the transplant life. Again, thank you so much for joining me. Until next time, please stay stronger, friends.